What's the worst houseguest experience you've had? My dad's friend pissed in the corner of the guest room and asked for money from everyone who happened to walk by him. Some family friends came over with their 30-year-old son unannounced, took a nap on our sofa like full on shoes off, made us turn off the TVBC, it was too loud, then Venmo charged us for snacks they brought even though we didn't ask for anything. I literally felt like I was the one who was visiting. She stole all of my booze, pissed on my couch, tore up the flower bed to the side of my driveway, and destroyed my guest bathroom. This all happened after I'd fallen asleep. She was a guest of a tenant roommate, and that roommate was told either her friend wasn't allowed over ever again or she'd have to find a new place to live. One of my best buddies from high school called me up and begged for me to come get him from a town about 3 hours away. The idea was he would stay with us for a couple weeks while he looked for work and then get his own place. 6 months later I ended up renting him a room for 1 month and dropping him off with his junk and wishing him well. His father had warned me he would drain me dry, and he wasn't kidding. All those months he was supposedly using my vehicle to look for work, he was instead going out to a local bar. Every bottle in our liquor cabinet was drained down to the last finger. I had a friend who needed a place to stay for a few days, so my parents let him stay at our house. He thought he could just stay longer without ever mentioning it or talking to my parents about it. He refused to find another place to live or try to make money, so he ended up staying with us for almost a month. He would trap people in conversations where he would just talk about himself for 2 hours straight. He complained about us not having the foods he wanted, would not stop talking about he was an incredible musician, and said his future plan was to go to LA despite having no job prospects, connections, a place to live, money, or any valid IDs. Within hours of him leaving he texted me about how he wanted to come over the next day. He is not allowed at our house anymore. Couple came for a weekend to my small apartment. Surprised that they brought 3 dogs and an extra friend. The puppy took a dump on my floor in the night, which nobody got up to clean. Another dog had a crate but managed to get a hold of a carpet outside of the crate, drag it in, and shred it. They also chewed up cardboard and wooden furniture. When they left, all the shredded stuff was just where it fell. My mom's cousin and her husband went for a short visit to our house. She was 5 months pregnant then. She and her husband didn't leave until the baby was 2 months old. Instead of asking where the toilet paper is, they let their kid wipe his ass with our guest towels. My ex-wife's friend had her car break down, and our apartment was right on a bus route to her job. She was supposed to stay over for a week while she got her car fixed. After 2 months and a lot of warning, we packed her bags for her and put them by the door. Wife's cousin stayed a couple days with us. After he left, I discovered he purchased about $60 worth of porn on DirecTV. My parents came over and started snooping through my closet while I was making tea. They found some sex toys and proceeded to get mad at me for having them in my own house, in my own bedroom. They wouldn't have found them if they would have behaved like normal people. My aunt came to visit for what was supposed to be a week or 2 and didn't leave for almost a year when I was a kid. She redecorated my room and even put up pictures of herself. Now the running joke in my family is to randomly leave pictures of yourself around the house when we visit people. My old roommate told me she had a friend who had fallen on rough times and needed a spot to crash for a while. No worries, I told her. Ooh, big worries. He was a professional beatboxer, but more that he was a professional smoker. Like, I'm fine with weed generally, but this dude was on 12 to 15 blunts a day, and would roll one as soon as he rolled his tidy-whitey clad ass off of our couch. So for like 4 months. As soon as I woke up, it was nothing but clouds of white owl and brrrrmmchkfrkafrkafrkachckabbrrrmmm. He didn't fall on rough times. He was a rough time. My dad owned a business his whole life and was in the process of hiring new installers. One applicant came in from out of town and my dad, being the kind man he was, offered for him to stay in our home. When the morning came, the man went to take a shower. My parents heard the water turn on and it stayed on for a really long time. After an hour and a half of running water, my mom made my dad go check on him. My dad went upstairs, picked the lock on the bathroom door, and found blood and a limp body on the floor next to the running shower. The man had overdosed, lost consciousness, hit his head on the shower side, and died. He was dead. Right there on the bathroom floor that I used for 10 years. One thing is for sure, he won't be coming back to our house again. That would be the girl visiting my sister-in-law who decided it would be funny to repeatedly prank call 911. I got a very angry call from the local police station saying we either stopped or they'd be sending a squad car over. Apologized profusely to the officer and thanked him for calling us first. She was not invited back to her house. She was 17 and definitely old enough to know better. I offered someone a ride home from class in college. Was hoping to make a new friend. This guy proceeded to take his shoes off and put his smelly socks on my leather dashboard, then critique my driving and tell me why manual transmissions are stupid. Murder would have been justified if he was a house guest. Sister-in-law house sat when we were out of town. There were tons of disrespectful presents left for us. A cookie crumb trail of condom wrappers, which lead to an actual used condom, like WTF. But the worst was after cleaning all that up, which was just aggravating and stupid. There was a putrid smell I couldn't put my finger on, until I finally opened a drawer in the dresser in the guest room. She had left a takeout container in there. Half an omelet that had gone rancid. I gotta hope she just had to go quick and forgot all that crap was there when she left. Either way, we took our key back from her. Housemate had people come over, order a pizza, decide they didn't want it and refuse to answer the door so they didn't have to pay, at 4 a.m. Pizza guy could hear them through the door so kept knocking louder and louder. I eventually went to the door and opened it. Then explained to the pizza guy what was going on, so that they didn't blacklist the property, and forced them to pay. As they were packing to leave the next day, I noticed them trying to take some of my extra PS4 controllers by sneaking them into their bag. I'm normally an introvert, but already being cranky from no sleep, I lost my shit at that point. Called them a disgusting thief and told them to GTFO. My mill joked about taking my newborn with her to her state and called me an inferior parent. 8 days post-birth. I told her I'd break her arm if she tried to leave the house with my baby. She cried because I didn't find her joke funny. I was on my honeymoon with my husband and we let his dad stay at our house, but said he had to be out by the time we got back. We let him know when we were on our way home and expected him to be gone. We get back. He was gone but had not gotten his stuff out of the house. On top of that, he trashed the place like a group of teenagers. Empty pizza boxes and trash laying around. He came back and stayed around for a bit and asked me if I was mad at him. Like, of course I'm mad. What do you expect? Ran into a guy the first used to call a friend and let him stay with me for a while as he was down on his luck. I guess we'd ran out of toilet paper so he used a washcloth and left it at the side of the toilet. Kicked him out and found out later he walked away with some of my CDs. Some mutual friends let him stay. Against my advice, they came home one day to find him passed out on the couch with his pants around his ankles. After they kicked him out, they found out he'd racked up $900 in phone 6 charges. Frock you Noel. You always were and always will be a piece of shit. Never even got to spend any time in this apartment. I agreed to rent an apartment with my younger sister on her road to recovery from drug use, and we'd all thought she was doing well. I paid for the first month's rent and deposit, which is standard. She moved in a week early, because I was working night shift and the whole process started on a Monday. That weekend I got to move in. I found out my debit card was locked out because she stole it and attempted to withdraw money too many times. It didn't get any better after that, sadly. Well, this one happened a few years ago, but the husband of my great aunt came to visit us. Mind you, he was like 80-something years old, so he goes to the bathroom to do his business. And he comes down. Now he smells a little bit, but we all brush it aside. Then when he sits down and after a while gets back up to leave, you can see soot stains on the sofa. Not only that, but my mom then goes upstairs and finds the bathroom full of soot. Not full on soot, but a bunch of it was sprayed in the walls, etc. To this day we haven't spoken about it, and that man passed away around a year ago. The clown that wouldn't leave. It's become family legend. My mother hired a clown for my brother's 2nd or 3rd birthday party. My mother made the mistake of offering her a cup of coffee after she was done performing, and she seemed to take that as a cue to stay for a while. Hours pass. The party guests are long gone and the clown is still there drinking the coffee, chatting with my mother still in full makeup and outfit. She ended up staying the entire day until my mom got fed up and told her she had to go because she had to prepare dinner. He cranked my dad's speakers up to the max and blew them. They were from the 70s, so impossible to replace or repair. Then he clogged our toilet. Grabbed a bunch of grandma's quilts to sop up the water. He then tried to stop the water by violently shacking the tank, cracking the bowl and dislodging it from its base. In a panic he tried to bolt from the house. His wet feet slipped on the wood floor and he crashed into a wall, leaving a nice body-sized impression. That's how my brother's friends was barred from the house. My father-in-law threatened to beat my 6-year-old sister because she was running around in our porch. Husband of friend came for Xmas since she was out of town. He brought the dog, who had diarrhea. Dog humped our dog for hours till our dog was covered in S***T. Husband spouted racist crap and my kids laughed at him. Had to wash our dog in the kitchen after he left. Friend divorced now. Let my buddy live with me rent-free after I got him a job. Was trying to help him off the floor. When my brother had a traumatic brain injury and I had a week to decide if my brother was going to live or die. This is when my buddy started breaching that he had to smoke weed in the garage and not the house. Then he proceeded to go to work, where I also worked. and talk shit about me and my personal life to anyone who would listen. He did this while I was on medical leave to take care of my dying brother. They peed in my fridge. A guest took a dozen eggs from my pantry and cooked it and served it to her kid after refusing to allow the kid to eat a dish I cooked for them. I think I had an older post about it somewhere here in Reddit about it. Nothing compared to the other stories. But a mutual friend came to my place and brought his roughly used PS4 controllers so we all could play together. When he left his city controllers and took my good ones. He is a lawyer now. Go figure, eh? Aunt going through a divorce after she'd been cheating on her husband for years. She comes to stay at her sister's place, aka my mom, while coping. This psycho breach drank nearly every drop of liquor we had. Left the fridge open and ruined a month's worth of groceries. Fell down our stairs and left a massive dent in the wall. And to cap it off, got in her car while drunk. It was like 3 a.m. and we were all asleep. Pulled out before we could stop her. Hit my car, and sped off. My mom begged us to not call the police. Yeah, no. I flipped on that drunk breach immediately. I think it was me. I went to a friend's house after a day drinking once. Promptly fell asleep on their sofa. Woke up in the middle of the night drunk and disoriented. Fell ass first into their glass coffee table, smashing it and then threw up all over their sofa. I have never felt so ashamed in my life. TBF, they were really good about it and I obviously paid to fix the table and have the sofa cleaned professionally. Tequila. It makes me unhappy. My now ex BFS friend took over our bedroom. I came home from work to find him on our bed with his dirty socks on our pillows as he was on his computer. Would constantly sit in between my BF and I. Would eat on the couch or in our bed and leave crumbs. If I attempted to talk to my BF, he would immediately interrupt me to say something. If we went to go out for anything, he would invite himself along and take shotgun. Whether I was driving or BF was driving. Would leave trash all over our car. The kicker though, bringing his girlfriend around who we found out later was a minor. He was 19, she was 15, not frocking cool. I sometimes think the best part of the breakup was not dealing with him anymore. Had a pool party. Dude got coked up. He was only one doing drugs. And asked to take a shower. When party was wrapping up, we headed inside and water was leaking from my ceiling onto downstairs floor. Guy took a shower and clogged the drain and fell asleep in tub. Ruined my floor in upstairs bathroom. Ceiling in kitchen. Before that he tackled a girl as he was stumbling trying to chase her out of hot tub. He sit in the laundry hamper. Not me, but my brother's partner requires that he go buy the ingredients for breakfast fresh every morning before he wakes up. As in if he wants bacon and eggs. My brother needs to go buy fresh bacon and eggs from the store before he wakes up. Then come home and cook them. Again, preferably before he wakes up. I had a party once and someone stole my toilet paper rod. Like the spring-loaded rod that holds the toilet paper in the bathroom fixture. Came home from class in college to house guests eating my food. Pretty much all of my food for the week was gone in one afternoon. They cooked up my pizza, tore through all my snacks, even helped themselves to the fruit. Nothing was off limits. In my case, I was a house guest and the hosts were the worst. I stayed in a home with 3 other girls while we did work for the church. While it was very generous of the host family to have us, they sold Amway and so we had to sit through a sales pitch one night. We slept in the basement on the floor, which was carpeted but infested with fleas from their numerous dogs. One night for entertainment we made balls of dog hair and watched to see how many fleas hopped on it. When they were finished cooking a meal, they left any leftovers in the pan until the next meal and then they just heated them up. So last night's burger had been sitting on the stove for 24 hours. Reheated and served again. Is that even a thing? I was 7 months pregnant with my second child. We hit a period of severe financial hardship. Like eating buttered noodles every meal because that was all we could afford. I made sure my daughter ate properly, but I didn't. I saved for 2 months. Seriously. And bought myself a $7 steak because I was seriously craving meat. I came home after work to cook that steak up, and my friend, who we let stay there for a week because she had nowhere to go, was eating it. She knew how poor we were. Her excuse? It is inhumane to make a grown adult eat nothing but buttered noodles. I grabbed her clothes, threw them outside, and told her to leave. My brother was the awful houseguest once. We had our son, 4, and daughter, 9 months. He stayed in our daughter's room because she was still in her crib. Apparently she woke up one night and he gave her a bottle so she would not wake us up. He filled her baby bottle with beer, and put her to bed with it. We did not give her bottles in bed. We also did not give her beer. When she vomited, he didn't clean her up. He just turned the crib around so we would not see the vomit. But he left her in her vomit to sleep. She woke up screaming, which is when I learned all of this. He got to leave because WTF? Who fills a baby bottle with beer and gives it to the baby? He frocked my girl. Guess she wasn't a good guest either though. When I moved in my first apartment, my stepmother dad's wife stole weed from me the first time she visited. She hasn't been allowed back since. A family friend. He would sometimes stay at our home weeks at a time. He would always lay and stink up our couch. He talks non-stop. And he would say slightly perverted shit to me. I was underage. Haven't seen him in years, thank God. I thought he was house guest, quickly became housemate. He wrecked stuff, threw away stuff without permission, and was generally rude. I woke up to a house drenched in human urine. Literally. My furniture, the carpets, a huge puddle in the kitchen. Nobody fessed up, so everyone was banned from ever coming over again. Hey, my roommate kicked me out. Can I stay at yours? Until you can find a new place? Sure. 4 months later. I had a very swole, extremely intimidating and hostile roommate one year. I'm a very non-confrontational introvert, so it was inherently stressful, but I made it through the year laying low as much as I could. On move out, he steals my nice bike, which he knew was something I used daily and took care of. I wasn't 100% sure it was him. Maybe it just disappeared the exact day he moved out, but then the same day he blocked me on anything I could contact him through. Felt like his last way of being in his hole and picking on me. Frock him. My stepdaughter and her boyfriend and 2 pit bulls showed up for Thanksgiving out of their minds on meth and would not leave. Stole some stuff and hawked to buy meth. The pit bulls killed my wife's cats and refused to leave. I found a wallet with a stranger's ID. Went to the guy's house approximately 10 miles away. He said it had been stolen along with other stuff in a burglary. He then called the officer that filled out the report. I lead the officer back to my house and introduced him to my stepdaughter and her boyfriend. The police found some pawn tickets and took the couple in for questioning. We threw their stuff out in the driveway and called Pitbull Rescue for the dogs. I haven't had many bad houseguest experiences, but the worst one had to be when he openly laughed at my stammer. Needless to say, he didn't return. My ex brought his unmedicated sister who deals with multiple mental illnesses into our home. She stole, lied, refused to shower, left piss-filled pads all over the house, smeared sit on walls, etc., etc. List too long. I said she leaves or I, and the kids, do. He hummed and hawed, so I left. I had a friend had been homeless for a while. We were in college. So I told him he could come stay with me for a month while he found a job. I told him what was mine was his. Which was a mistake. This dude slept like 2 or 3 hours a day and spent the rest absolutely destroying all the food in my house. He never showered, and chain smoked constantly. So once he left, I had to throw away the bed, sheets, and pillows because the bow just would not go away. An acquaintance heard some of my friends were spending the night after a bonfire we threw and decided to show up with a duffel bag. We just let him slide and carried on, but he then criticized our cooking, wanted to play a different game we were all enjoying, and ended the night by talking to his friend on speaker when we were all trying to sleep. The next morning we told him that we were all getting ready for work and were leaving in an hour, but when the time came he asked for the key and said we could pick it up from his dorm when we come back. At this point we were gonna be late, so I went with it and vowed that this dude would never step foot in my door again. It's been 10 years, but still, frock that guy. My brother is a vagabond. He shows up at my house without calling ahead all the time. He unpacks his stuff, which stinks. He stinks. He's a smoker and he is always by a campfire and doesn't shower. He makes my whole house smell. He also will either bring some puppies he got that definitely haven't had their shots, or he will bring a good friend he just met that looks shady as can be. He is always here to borrow money. Raid my fridge for booze and can't afford dinner. This is all under the guise of I just want to surprise you. In reality, he knows if he calls ahead I'll say no. My cousin's grandma came to a party at the house and smeared her poop all over the bathroom. I have no idea why she still gets invited anywhere. My aunt, uncle, and their 2 kids stayed at my house for a week once, and we weren't super close with them. My dad thought it would be a good way to be closer to them by letting them stay while they were in town. Every night, at 8 on the dot, the family would all brush their teeth at the same time. Not all crammed in the bathroom though, but would walk throughout the house for 10 minutes or so, splashing their tooth juice all over the carpet. It was so bizarre. I was living with my BF and his brother came to stay for a bit between jobs. We came home from work and he had rearranged all the furniture in the living room. Couches, bookshelves, all of it. I made him move everything back. I was so furious. When I was a kid, one of my friends had to come live with us for a few months. Friend was probably 14. I was a little younger. The friend spent the whole time sitting on our recliner loudly watching YouTube, with headphones, but interacting with the YouTubers out loud and scream, giggling, and ignoring everyone in the house unless it was to death, glare them and shriek like an actual banshee. Accompanying mom sat around drinking beer all the time and was permissive because she was also scared of setting off her demon spawn. For some reason I stayed friends with this person for 5 more years. Did they ever change, you ask? No, they did not. I used to have a friend who I picked up from the airport after she spent 10 days in the Fiji Islands. She smelled horrible but still proceeded in giving me a giant hug. We come home to my place. All her clothes were disgusting, so I lent her some pajamas. As we're chatting, she's sitting on my couch and can't stop scratching herself. Like, non-stop. Turns out she had scabies. I'm so frocking glad I threw away the clothes and blanket I lent her. Travelers out there, I know being a free spirit is a good thing, but for frock's sakes, wash yourself and your sit on a normal goddamn basis. One of my dad's coworkers got too drunk at the previous night's bonfire, so he slept on the couch. He ghosted really early in the morning after fully peeing himself on the couch. It was an old black couch and we discovered what happened after sitting down. Not me, but my mom. For a few years she taught at a vet school in the Caribbean, and she loved bringing friends down to see her beautiful island. One of her oldest friends was invited, so she showed up with her brother. My mom does not particularly like this brother and was only informed he was coming when she got the "Me and Daryl are at the airport. We'll see you in a few hours" text. So trying to be accommodating, my mom scrambled to make up room for him. When they got there, they were both rude, ate all mom's food, left messes everywhere, broke both her toilet and her bed frame. They're both very obese people. And this is coming from someone who's already pretty overweight, and rarely thanked her for anything. That woman is not her friend anymore. A good friend of mine was essentially divorced from his wife, but because he was broke, was stuck living with her. I told him he could stay with my wife and I as a guest, no rent, so he could save up money for his own place. We were clear that he was not a roommate and our rules were our rules. But somewhere along the way he just ignored that. He didn't save a dime. He found himself a pretty little college girl to shower with gifts and lied to us that he was saving a lot. At the end of 6 months he finally admitted to having $0 in the bank, and we sent him packing for lying and taking advantage of us. He also was unpleasant to live with, and that didn't help. I learned to never insert myself into people's business under the guise of help ever again.